Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. This is Hila Speak. It's been a while, and I miss you all a lot. We took a break, and I hope you did too. Today, I'm super excited because we are live with astrologer coach Sonja to talk about the year ahead 2019, and she will be on board soon. The camera is connecting. Okay, we got it. Hi.
We made it.
Yes, we made it. I was wondering what's going on. I said,
I couldn't figure it out right away, but here I am.
yes, I said Mercury is not retrograde. Welcome.
No, but Uranus is stationing direct today, so that affects technology sometimes.
Yes. So I am putting the sound. Please give us thumbs up if you can hear us and see us. Welcome, Sonja, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you so much. Please share with us. I was so excited to hear, about what is going on in the sky right now. It has been a very, very powerful weekend.
Yes, because we had an eclipse yesterday, Solar Eclipse in Capricorn, and today Uranus is going direct. So it feels very intense right now. There's a lot of energy coming through, and so eclipses are all about consciousness upgrades, right? And they happen twice a year, every year. This eclipse is particularly strong because it happened right the day before Uranus station goes direct. Mm-hmm. And Uranus station goes direct by itself is quite strong in energy, and is usually all about, awakenings and waking up to something, or something needs to shift or change. We're sort of like being aware of what it is that needs to change in our lives, and having that happen so close with an eclipse is sort of like a double intensity, right? You feeling all these energy shifts and changes, and it feels so overwhelming and just intense,
Yes, so, it has been feeling, very intense. I just wanted to say hi to James and hi to Yagil. They're watching. Hi to Alana. It seems that, they can hear us and see us well. Sonja, it has been so intense that I find myself like a little slower. I cannot really, the words are not coming out easily. I just feel almost like my brain is the electrical waves are not really. So what is that about?
Well, that could be the Jupiter-Neptune square that's approaching right now. That will be exact on the 13th of January. Which will happen actually 3 times this year. So that's a pretty big aspect, because it's an outer planet with a social planet making a square or an aspect that only happens, very rarely. This particular aspect, that last time it happened was in 1853. So it's been a while. Right?
Yes, and it's good to check what happened at that time.
Right, it's good. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
What happened then, what happened now, because as people, we have evolved so much since 1853, right? Especially on a spiritual level. And this is a very spiritual aspect, actually, because Neptune is involved, which is our connection to the divine. And then Jupiter is involved which is our exploration of self, and has to do with self-growth, So, but the difficulty with these two planets is that they are they're so different from each other, in the way that Neptune is very introverted and very intuitive and very slow in its energy. It's a more feeling planet, right? It's about feeling and going within and connecting with our inner divinity, right? Jupiter, on the other hand, is much more of an active energy, way more masculine in nature, and it's more extroverted. It's more about doing things. It's more about exploring life, having an adventure, being out there, expanding, whether that's mentally, physically, or even spiritually. I mean, Jupiter, it has a very spiritual component to it as well, but it's more of a masculine approach to the spirituality rather than a feminine approach to the spirituality.
It's more fierce. It's more fierce, more kind of more pomp. It takes a lot of space.
Yes.
Meanwhile, with Neptune, sometimes, especially when happened the aspect with the Sun. I think it was opposing the Neptune and the Sun. I was feeling so murky and confused, and I was feeling a little, it was really, really weird.
Yes, that happened with Neptune. Yeah, because Neptune always wants to draw you inside, right? It invites you to go inwards. And when we're not doing that, when we're staying extroverted or outward oriented, then we're feeling a little bit like, whoa, what's going on, right? Because we're being invited to go in. Rather than out.
Right. And then what happened with the eclipse? Yeah, I mean, I feel it's definitely more long run than 2 days or a weekend. I feel it's really huge, the impact of this eclipse. But tell us a little bit about what is happening in the sky right now.
Well, this eclipse is very potent. Also, not only because Uranus goes direct, but also because the connection between Pluto, Saturn, the new moon, Mercury, there's a lot of planets involved in this eclipse, and actually Neptune is involved as well. It's sextiling all these planets, and so because all these planets are involved, we're experiencing so many different layers of what's shifting and what's changing. There's a component of empowerment. We need to feel empowered. So there's something shifting internally with ourselves in regards to how we can feel more empowered out there in the world with our long-term goals or with the things that we're building, that we're wanting to manifest out there in the world. And really the lesson of this eclipse is to take our power back in a way and not give our authority to figures out there in the world that cannot really carry or that cannot really reflect who we are and what we want for ourselves, right? So, Capricorn has a lot to do with politics. It has a lot to do with government. It has
authority.
A lot to do with operations. It has to do with social structures, right? Anything that's like a social structure where people benefit from a structure that's made for everybody. That's kind of what Capricorn is connected to. And each one of us is invited to contribute right now, to contribute on that level, on that social level, and on the level of, I'm not going to leave it up to, whoever is out there managing, being in power right now, but I'm going to do my part so that society can grow and evolve and be more empowered, and that we can all create a future that we really want to live into.
Right? Yes, there is a very strong, because it was so interesting how this wave, I saw it not only in my own experience energetically, but in others. Like I was reading sharings of people who are doing, let's say, astrology or writing for 7-8 years for a certain, magazine or something. And they're like, I feel like I'm done with this. I want to move on. Right. People are putting boundaries. There is a very strong sense of self. There is a very strong sense of, and if we have done the work in the retrograde time, we are able to feel this instead of isolation, to feel it as a self-love.
Right. Well, what we're really setting down, most of us, and not everybody is doing that because it depends on where you're at on your journey, right? But what we're really setting down is the shoulds. We're setting down all the social shoulds, or the shoulds that we've been programmed into. You should be doing this to be successful, or you should be that person, or that this is your path, or this is what you should be doing. And not only what other people tell us we should be doing, but our internal shoulds as well. Because, of course, when you have a programming, when you're born into a society, there is a certain amount of programming just from the society that you're born into, but also from your parents, or from your teachers, or from the people that have, informed who you are as a person now, right? And some of these programs function in terms of shoulds, right? Like, I should be here and not here, or I should be doing better than that, or I should be, in this line of work. But whenever we hear ourselves saying something like that, right? Whenever we hear ourselves saying, I should be, or I must, or I have to, or I need to, we need to kind of like take a look at that and become more conscious there, because these are programmings from other people. What you want to really do is, if you want to feel empowered and if you want to take your authority back, is to say, I choose. I choose this. I choose this path. I choose this goal. I choose to make this decision. It's my choice, rather than saying I should be doing it. Because should always to something outside of yourself rather than inside.
Yes, and my friend Marty is saying should is a dangerous word, which leads me to the question, which aspect will help us connect with our inner self? Which aspect right now coming up you would say can help us really, because this is about soul connection and hearing our own real voice, because Capricorn, it feels good when it puts the boundaries up. You feel that structure, but the disconnect, if there is no connection inside, you can be disconnected.
Well, the key with Capricorn is not to disconnect from yourself, right? Capricorn is only at its highest expression if you can have healthy boundaries without being rigid, right? Without creating rigidity, without creating a fixed structure. You know, Capricorn is not actually about creating boundaries in a fixed way. It's really more about, because Capricorn is actually a feminine energy. It's also more an energy where you need to turn inwards first and then make decisions outwards, right? So Capricorn teaches us to say, okay, what works and what doesn't work for me, right? And we have to be very present with Capricorn to see, are we setting a boundary that's based on what is so right now, or are we setting a boundary that's connected to a conditioning, or that's connected to something from the past that we've taken from the past and put it into the here and the future. Right. Boundaries are only good when they're serving the now moment, not when they're serving a rigid rule.
Right, because hi Linda, I thank you for watching us. By the way, if you have any questions, please type them and I will transfer them to Sonja. We're so lucky to have this opportunity. Because if we put rigid boundaries, it feels like it's coming from an old reaction. It's not really conscious. It's not really conscious. So what are the major things that you would say, just to, because, you know, we're really deep in astrology and we're so excited about the details, but we want to make it a little more comprehensible to the people that are hearing for the first time, maybe, or just to have a feel for the year. Is it an Earth year? What type of year is it?
It's a year in which we're invited to focus on self-care as much as possible, to nurture ourselves, to make sure that we're feeling connected to ourselves, that there's a feeling connection, so that we can go out there into the world and produce or manifest the things that are really in alignment with ourselves. But without the nurturing component, we're not going to be able to really manifest what's really in alignment with ourselves.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So it's structure and self-care. Is that related with the Cancer element? Is that related with the node in Cancer?
Yes, that's because the North Node is in Cancer and the South Node is in Capricorn, exactly. And the eclipses that will happen throughout the year in 2019 and also the beginning of 2020, they will be in Cancer, Capricorn.
Okay, so we have 2 years of this opposition. Do we have about
18 months.
18 months. Okay, yeah. So tell us a little bit. This is so exciting. Tell us a little bit about the good moments and, you know, what to expect or what to be aware of, because I'm feeling the Uranus thing. I'm really feeling very much, you know, the strong planets. Yes, but like a little bit about what to to pay attention to about what is coming.
Yes. So, I mean, besides what we've already talked about, I would say that the biggest shifts will happen in February and March. In February, Chiron will move into Aries, and in March, Uranus will move into Taurus. And we've already experienced a little bit of that in 2018. There was sort of like a little bit of a preview of that summer of 2018. And so your Chiron and Aries is all about having a new way of leadership within ourselves and in the world, you know, to connect to leadership in a different way, in a new way, connecting to the masculine energies in a different way, in a new way, in a more holistic way. And Uranus in Taurus is all about connecting to the physical world in a new way, in a way that serves the planet. So from March on, for the next 7 years, really, but of course, because this is starting in 2018, I mean, this is starting in 2019, the 7-year cycle, it's really important that we're understanding that we're moving into a new era, in a sense, you know. We're really, a lot that's going to be shifting with our financial systems. There's going to be a lot that will be shifting with how we produce things. There's going to be a lot of shifting in how we build things. There's going to be a lot of changes in terms of like how we connect to the planet, to Earth, to our own bodies. So we're kind of like needing an awakening, in a sense. We're needing an awakening around Earth and the physical connection to ourselves and this planet, you know, and how we deal with physical things.
Yeah, somebody asked the question about Uranus to Taurus, what will show us, and said that hi Sally, said that you're answering the question now. I just want to step back a little bit to Chiron into Aries. I have a sense, and I don't know if you agree with me, that Aries is the child, and is the fire, the entrepreneurial fire. They are so fiery, and there is all about them. Like when I'm with Aries friends, it's very hard to hear anything else. Also, although it's very interesting and I enjoy it. So would you say that Chiron in Aries is possible to bring some childhood traumas up, to clear that up in a way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you can definitely clear childhood traumas with Chiron, no matter where Chiron is, because Chiron is connected to the wound, to the inner wounded child. As far as Chiron and Aries is concerned, the Aries energy is more like a teenager energy, actually. You know, it's a little bit more than a child, because Aries is a little bit more forceful.
Yes.
You know, it's like the warrior. It's the warrior energy.
Yeah.
You know, it's when we're passionate about something, when we're going out there, we're doing what we want to do because it's ours. You know, like we feel good about it. You know, and it's almost sometimes also we want to fight for something. You know,
yeah.
Like that Arian energy sometimes wants to fight for something. But Chiron and Aries, you know, Chiron and Aries changes how Aries operates, you know, because we don't with Chiron and Aries, we feel a little bit more sensitive towards that energy. We feel like sensitive around our own leadership. We feel sensitive around who we are as people. You know, who we are in terms of the masculine energies, how we're going after things. We feel sensitive around issues around anger or aggression, right? So people who have Chiron and Aries natally, right, for example, they will feel this very strongly because they'll have the Chiron return, and they will feel this sense of like something's coming to a completion in their cycle. You know, something's coming to completion in regards to their inner wounded child, in regards to their wounding, and they can set it down and let let it go. You know, they can make peace with it. It's about making peace with it.
Yes, Chiron has this beautiful sense. I felt it when it moved direct, but it was in Pisces. It just has this beautiful sense of completion. You have the opportunity to see it and name it. It takes a lot of strength because it can be really painful. At the same time, I have a feeling, as you describe it now, that Chiron in Aries is going to be crafty, you know, with herbs and with healing methods and with, you know, all the ways that, you know, Chiron will take up, it will take higher in this way of it.
Yes, Chiron and Aries, I think it's going to be really good for us because we need to be more active in our healing process, right? Chiron and Pisces was a little bit more passive in the healing, or a little bit more of an internal process, more of an emotional process. Whereas Chiron and Aries is going to be more of an active process. It's going to be more like, how can we heal, you know, as, you know, individuals and as in the collective, you know, how can we heal the masculine, the assertion, the anger, the aggressiveness, you know, how can we heal all that?
Would you like to tell us a little bit also about relationships and about Venus? Because we're getting somehow this question, I'm getting on my messenger, the question about Venus. You know, everybody is, you know, she's the queen. So,
well, the good news about Venus this year is that she's not going to go retrograde like last year, which means that we're going to have a very, we have more of an ease with Venus this year, you know. Obviously, Venus is a faster moving planet, so it will journey through all of the signs, you know. So whenever it comes into your sign, it will just bring, you know, beauty. It will bring ease. It will bring joy. It will bring sort of like, you know, the things that Venus brings, you know, relationships, values, like sometimes it can bring money too. Right?
Yeah.
So it depends on where Venus will be at what time of the year, right? I mean, since Venus travels that fast, what I would recommend is, you know, if you want to look at my weekly forecasts, you know, on my website and see where Venus is each quarter or I think it takes about 6 weeks for Venus to change signs. So each 6 weeks it will be in a new sign. And then I always write a little bit of a blurb about what that means for the people that are, you know, that have that sign. And but in terms of aspects, I mean, because it's traveling so fast, of course it's going to make a lot of aspects as well to a lot of different planets. So I would say, you know, that there's not really one general thing I can say about Venus for this year, because there's not something major. Like last year there was a retrograde, this year there is, right? So I would say, you know, just watch where Venus is going. But I think, you know, relationship-wise in general, it really depends on, you know, what your sign is and what your planets are doing.
It's more of a personal reading.
It's a more personal question.
Yeah, it's a personal reading for everybody's chart, which I highly suggest. When Sonja did my chart, it's so beautiful to see from a different perspective of the soul. You know, it's a journey of the soul, which is very, very different than just, you know, aspects or mathematics. But just to go back on that step of Venus and Mars, it's interesting that Venus and Mars are not going retrograde this year.
Right, they're both not going.
Yeah, that was a very interesting aspect. You know, it just felt like, I don't know, maybe there's definitely other planets that are much stronger. These other aspects that are much stronger this year.
I mean, one of the things that's notable this year is how many planets are in their own signs. So Neptune is in Pisces and has been there for a while already. Saturn is in Capricorn. That's only been for like a year. Jupiter just moved into Sagittarius, its own sign. That happened just a couple of months, like in November. And Mars is now in Aries since December 31st. So we have literally like 4 planets in their own signs, which means that these planets are more powerful. They feel really comfortable in their own signs, and they feel like, you know, I want to do my best in my own sign. you know?
Yes, as you are talking about this, it kind of feels like things are falling into place. It's not necessarily, it's not going to be like a walk in the park, but definitely it feels like things are falling into place, which is giving us an opportunity to feel a little calmer and possibly to prepare for all the changes that are coming, because, you know, Uranus in Taurus of the 7-year new era that you are talking about. You know, my sense, yes, my sense with Uranus, what I feel many times is like a carpet is being pulled under my feet, and it's not, you know, it's not so detrimental as it sounds, because, you know, you might find yourself on the empty, but you learn a lot, and sometimes really things fall into place, or you are where you need to be. So I think our universe is giving us an opportunity for, you know, for the planets to be more like at home, so we can really turn inwards and see, okay, where I am and what am I doing, and you know, which leads me to the question about what you're offering next, so we can share about your programs.
So I actually have a whole webinar about 2019 where I talked for like 2 hours about, you know, what we can expect for the whole year, and for each sign as well, right? So if you were like an Aries or a Taurus, you know, so for each sign, what to expect and what dates to watch out for. So that's something that's, you know, it would take too long to do this right now in the interview, but it's something that I did in that 2-hour webinar. So if you want to get that right now, that's available on my website for $37. And I actually have a special right now. If you wanted to get 2 webinars, you get a 40% discount. So if you get my Saturn webinar and my 2019 webinar, you can get a 40% discount. So you basically get both of them for like almost half price.
I like very much the sharings that you put like in a paragraph about the aspects of the week. I like those very, very much, and I go on the website and I read the article because it gives me an idea of what is really happening, and it explains why, you know, sometimes I feel the way I do. There was also a question that goes a little back in relation to that interview you did about sexuality with that a woman from Australia, and it's, where can we find that, and what was that experience like?
So that interview is on my website. It's called Sexually Connected, and so if you want to take a look at that, that's available. You just have to go to my blog page. You will find it there too. Actually, you know, if you go to astrology videos on my blog page, it's one of my astrology videos.
Okay. And would you say, in your experience, that astrology can help a person get in touch with more intimate aspects of themselves?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. No, it's really amazing how much you can, more you can understand about yourself when you know your own chart, and when somebody gives you a reading, you know, it's like you get these huge aha moments, you know, where you're like, oh, wow, that's why I'm in this pattern, or that's why I do certain things, or that's why I have these feelings, or I mean, even for me, when I first started studying astrology, you know, and I got a reading myself, I mean, it awakened me to parts of myself that I knew were there, but I couldn't put words on it, you know. And somebody was saying to me, well, you have Venus in Gemini, and this means this and this and that. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's why I'm this way. And, you know, when you don't know this, you keep asking yourself, like, why am I this way? Why do I function like this? Like, why do I always need to be on the other side? Or why do I always keep flip-flopping around? Or why do I always think that the grass is greener, you know, somewhere else?
Yeah.
And, you know, when someone told me I have Venus in Gemini, I was like, oh, okay. And then you can relax. And then because then you don't question it anymore. You just go, oh, well, that's just how my Venus operates. and that's okay. Because it also, I mean, there's not just negative things to Venus in Gemini. There's some great things to it as well, right? And so when you know all of it, then you focus more on the good stuff, and you just go, okay, the other stuff, whatever, no big deal.
Yes, and
really
and I read somewhere that this year is about mastery. So if we know
that's the Capricorn
aspect. So if we know ourselves, then it doesn't mean that we're in the mercy of the planetary aspects. Of course, we will feel it, but it takes work, it takes meditation, it takes introspection, maybe writing, maybe having a reading, really not seeing this, as you said, not seeing this as negative, where we're not being doomed by the astrological aspect. Yes, it can utilize them.
Absolutely. No. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that this year is a great year to be looking at how you can support yourself the best way possible to achieve the next level of your own mastery, right? Because I mean, self-mastery is something that we probably do for the rest of our life, I mean, it's not something we achieve within a year.
Yeah.
But this year in particular is an invitation to take a more serious look at how we're doing that, and if we're doing it in a way that works for us, and so whatever supports us on the way, all the things that we can, all the tools that we can put in our toolbox, let's use them, let's get proactive, and let's definitely take a look at that. I think that's really what this year is about, for sure.
Absolutely, which answers the question that I was going to ask you as a final question. What do you suggest? What your advice, so to speak, to our audience about this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's a little bit different, so it's difficult to give like a blanket advice to everybody. So let me just say what I do, so that way maybe that can inspire other people. But one of the things that I'm looking to focus on this year is to really make sure that I have a really nice balance between work and rest, between making sure that I do things in a way that are efficient, where I don't waste time, but at the same time where I can also bring caring and love into what I'm doing, so finding that balance is going to be very important for me, also my inner world versus my outer world, right? Like, so I'm going to very much try to get support, from people in my life. Like, I have a coach, I have a Reiki person, I have a massage person, I have people that support me so that I can do the work that I'm doing. And so I want to continue doing that in a way that really, helps me do my work, in a way where I can feel, more connected in a more nurturing way to myself and to other people.
Supported. Yes, you basically nailed it. That's exactly how I feel. I feel with the polarities of the Cancer and Capricorn is do what is good for you, but find the balance between caring and loving for the world, especially in these professions that we are concerned. We're deeply concerned with what is happening in the world. And finding the balance when you're saying yes to others, not to say no to yourself. And becoming from a place of pain or lack of or no support. And the other aspect the other word that came in as you were talking is compassion.
Yes.
It's not, not hurting other people, or really, because, it has to be me first, and me is not about that. It's about finding the balance between self-love and being in the world, which
compassion is always a good one to foster, no matter what you do. Self-compassion to begin with, right? I mean, I always say it starts with yourself, in terms of like how you relate with yourself. And the more you can bring compassion to yourself in how you handle things, or in how you do things, and be more kind with yourself, then you can start bringing that to the outside world without even having to think about it, you know. But it starts here, right? It starts here, actually. It starts between the ears, you know,
Yes.
with our own voices in our head.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm super excited and sharing with you, and I'm super excited to talk to you soon. Have a beautiful year. We will post all the events and the possibility to be part of your inner group, which is more like you're sharing more of the full videos. Um,
Yeah.
and yes, we'll
Yes.
put that information, the workshops coming up or the YouTube videos also. We will post this on YouTube too. Thank you everybody for watching. Yes, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. It was a pleasure as always.
Yes, we will talk soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
We
Thanks
love
for
you.
having me.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.